Just recently, I watched Maru Maru Shiki, which was directed by Kondo Ryota of Missing Child videotape fame, one of my favourite J-horrors in recent memory. The script was also written by both him and Kurumu Akumu, a writer who is also gaining recognition for his somewhat mockumentary style, making these two a great fit for a collaboration. But this time around, Maru Maru Shiki, which can be roughly translated to something something ceremony, isn't a full-length feature film, but rather a 40-minute short. As you might expect from the title, the horror lays in uncovering what type of ceremony it is that we're about to be privy to. And as you might expect, it's not going to be something light and fluffy. If you've seen my review of Missing Child videotape, then you may remember that I'm a big fan of slow-building horror and dread. I'm an atmosphere enjoyer. That's the type of horror I like. I enjoy not knowing what might be around the next corner, what could potentially be hiding in the dark recesses of the room behind the main characters. The will they or won't they when it comes to actually showing, for example, a ghost hiding in plain sight, or somewhere just off screen. The imagination is often more horrifying than real life, and that's the type of horror I gravitate towards. If you're a fan of slashers or body horror, then this type of horror may not be for you. In fact, you might find it incredibly boring, and that's okay too. That being said, Kondo's work seems to be falling firmly in that first category. If you don't enjoy a slow build and a heavy focus on atmosphere, in particular, long silences and slow shots where seemingly not a lot happens, then his works may not be for you. But for me, they're ideal. It's the type of horror I've been waiting a long time to see return. This is going to be full of spoilers, as I talk about the short, what's going on, and examine its story. So, if you want to watch this whenever it may potentially get an English release without being spoilt, then maybe save this video for later. Maru Maru Shiki opens with some shaky handycam footage of what appears to be a wedding. It quickly cuts to two brothers in an apartment. The younger is working on his laptop, editing the footage we just saw, and the other seems troubled by something. It turns out he wants to quit. The brothers are in business together, and as you might expect, they record weddings, sports days, birthday parties, etc. for families so they can keep those memories forever. From this quick scene, we can see that the younger brother, Mizuki, appears more calm, stable, even reliable, while the older seems to be absolutely fed up with his current life. This comes across not just in how he talks, but also his mannerisms, almost acting like a child as he pouts and constantly fidgets. Even his somewhat messy hair adds to the image we're clearly supposed to feel towards him, the older brother. The younger is more shikkari, we might say, reliable, level-headed. The older is more aloof, unsettled, and restless. A dynamic is being created right from the get-go. Mizuki drives this point home, asking, "What on earth are you going to do if not this?" Either way, the younger acquiesces to the older brother's wishes, but asks him to join him tomorrow for one last job. The older brother agrees, but he doesn't even remember what the ceremony the following day is for. He's soon going to find out. We, as the viewers, are learning what's going on at the same time as the older brother. He's our eyes into this world and this mysterious ceremony we're about to take part in. He arrives at the location, thankfully scrubbed up, hair brushed back and suit worn neatly, and finds an empty photo frame on a chair at the head table, like you might see at a wedding. In silence, he stares at it for a while, just looking at a reflection of his own face in the glass. What on earth is this blank frame for? When his brother comes in and tells him it's about to begin, and they should get to work, he still can't take his eyes off the frame. "What do you think this is?" he asks his brother. "Dunno," Mizuki answers simply before leaving. Again, the younger brother seems more professional and wants to get to work, while the older, more aloof brother just can't stop staring at this empty frame on a chair in an empty hall. And so, the camera lingers for a while, just a few piano notes ramping up in the background. Something isn't right here, but as of this very second, we cannot figure out why. Something is wrong, but again, there's no way to tell what that is yet. But the feeling in this empty hall is dark and foreboding, and an expectation is created that soon we're about to see something we perhaps shouldn't. This is something I personally really enjoy about Kondo's works. So far, absolutely nothing has happened, and yet we already feel uneasy about what's to come. Mizuki passes a woman in a Western-style bridal dress, and they share a silent nod in greeting as they pass. So, are we here for a wedding? That would track with how the tables in the hall were set up. But the older brother can't get over how weird this all feels. It gets even weirder when the young boy from Exit 8 shows up, also in a suit, and then just silently walks away. For whatever reason, this makes the older brother reminisce about how they played hide and seek as kids at a wedding. The younger reminds him they've got a job to do and leaves. And again, we linger on the older brother apparently fondly remembering their youth. Long, still shots are Kondo Ryota's bread and butter, giving you time to soak in the atmosphere and even contemplate yourself what it is that just happened, and how that perhaps relates to what is coming up. And so the ceremony begins. The bride enters and sits at the table alone. A guest gets up to wish her happiness for the future. The older brother is beyond confused. What's going on? Where is the husband? And the new bride hardly looks happy, sitting there the entire time with a stoic, almost sad look on her face. She then gets up to cut the cake, and she turns pointedly to look at the older brother, who is filming down the rear of the room. All of the guests also turn to stare at him, and it's like the room is frozen in time. He's just there to film. Why is everyone, literally everyone, staring at him as the room falls silent? The older brother again runs into the silent boy during a quick break, and when he returns, he finds pictures being broadcast on the wall of a baby boy. A placard quickly shows stating, "Bridegroom, Daichi-sama." We're treated to shaky home video of a young boy, presumably the same one from the photos. And then, the young boy in the suit is seen watching these same videos. He's dressed in white, and then we see him pointing creepily to something in the dark, like he's Ryuji from Ningu. The young boy then enters with the bride, but this time she's dressed in black. Naturally, the older brother is incredibly confused and put off. This kid is who she's marrying? How could that be possible? It doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense. He finds various toys downstairs, and when he returns to the main hall, it's now empty, but for a single projector. There's also now a picture in the frame on the chair, but it's obscured by darkness. The projector starts playing. The older brother appears, sitting in a chair and giving the camera, it would appear, his final will and testament. In a long single cut that lasts for over 3 minutes, he informs us that he has reached his limit, and apologizes to his wife and younger brother. But he just can't do it anymore. There's a cut of a railway crossing, and then we see the young boy holding the same photo in the frame that was on the chair. This time, we can clearly see it's the older brother, and the young boy recites line for line, word for word, that same video we just watched. What on earth is going on? The young boy shows up for real and sits down in the chair, holding the photo frame. The older brother, just as confused as the audience likely is, tries to get the boy to leave with him, but then Mizuki shows up. "That's enough, don't you think?" he states. It would appear that whatever ceremony is taking place, it was all for the older brother's benefit. But what ceremony is this exactly? And why has he been kept in the dark about it? Who is this boy? And how are they related? And who is the bride that has yet to say anything? The bride then enters the room as the older brother, confused, tries to figure out what's going on. He doesn't remember filming that video. But, as Mizuki points out, that's not all, is it? Can he remember what happened yesterday? This morning? The bride's name? Her name is Sachi, by the way. Does that ring a bell? "Daichi is right there, isn't he?" Sachi says to Mizuki. "This whole time, his name has been kept from us. His younger brother has simply called him Nii-chan. Remember the placard from earlier? The bridegroom's name was also Daichi. Curious. And as we look on from Sachi's point of view, we can hear Daichi, but we can't see him. Yet, Mizuki can see him just fine, and asks him if he remembers how he died. Yes, he's been a ghost this whole time, and Mizuki is pissed at him. At how he died. At all the trouble it caused. At the trauma it left them with. But the worst part was how his ghost just suddenly showed up and continued trying to work with him. So then, this is my ceremony. It is. Mizuki spoke to someone to figure out how to allow Daichi to move on, and this person informed him of this ceremony. He feels bad for the nameless boy, but apparently he was born precisely for this purpose. At this point, it probably doesn't take much to put two and two together to figure out what's going to happen. The boy is a vessel. He was watching those videos of Daichi's childhood to prepare. He was reading out his same will and testament to prepare. He exists for Daichi's spirit to inhabit and, essentially, be reborn. Daichi complains. He never wanted this. They don't care what he wants. He's dead. It was Sachi who wanted this, and Mizuki produces a contract that's signed with bloody fingerprints. She wants to start over. He's getting another chance here to redo his life, starting from a young age. Mizuki is clearly upset with how thoughtless his older brother is, and was, and he should be grateful for this opportunity. He then reveals that he hates him. He genuinely hates him. If they run into each other again after he's reborn, then he fears he may kill him. The only reason he isn't now is, well, he's already dead. This is what Sachi wants, not him. And so, Daichi is reborn in the body of the boy, given a second chance at life to correct his mistakes. 6 years later, Mizuki, still in the same apartment, gets a call. Daichi wants to see him. He arrives at the same ceremony hall, and Daichi, now a teenager, walks out. Mizuki mentions running into Sachi and how happy she seems these days, but being called out here feels like his brother is just trying to torment him. Even after being reincarnated, you're still my same old brother, he spits out. There's still no love lost here. Mizuki brings up the hide-and-seek story again, not seeing the knife hidden behind Daichi's back. Daichi locked him in a small room, and there was a big fuss as everyone tried to find him. He always suspected he did that on purpose, and he hated him for it. Why did you do that? Because it was fun. Daichi then stabs him. Well, it's your turn next, he says, and we hear the sounds of clapping, like a ceremony taking place, as Mizuki dies at Daichi's feet. After the credits, we're treated to one final banger, as we see the brothers in the apartment again, the same scene from the opening. This time, Daichi mentions that he's going to shape up and try harder. After all, he feels bad for Sachi, and he has an adorable younger brother to look out for too. And we share a common destiny, after all, he states ominously with a laugh. The implications, I feel, are pretty clear here. The brothers are trapped in an almost karmic cycle of death and rebirth because of their twisted feelings for each other. Daichi, the older brother, took joy in tormenting his younger brother as kids, and even in death, or perhaps especially in death, he messed him up even more. It was Mizuki who had to confirm the body was his older brother's, and we're told it was in no fit state to be looked at, considering how he died. Then he rocks up as a ghost like nothing happened, reminding his younger brother day after day of his loss. Both brothers are unable to move on, and Mizuki hates him for everything he ever did, and keeps on doing to him. And so, he finds a way in which Daichi can be reborn, if you will, in the body of a young boy who will act as his vessel. Everyone wins. Sachi gets her husband back, even if he's in the body of a boy, and Mizuki gets rid of his brother's ghost, who is literally haunting him day after day. But this isn't what Daichi wants. He doesn't want to be reborn. And so, when he grows up a little, he takes his revenge. He kills Mizuki and tells him that he'll be next. Daichi is going to carry out the same ceremony for his younger brother, having him be reborn in a new body to carry out the same cycle. And the short literally ends with Daichi telling us they share a common destiny. This cycle, it seems, will probably go on endlessly, with brother killing brother and then reviving him to do it over and over again. And that is the real horror. Although he doesn't have many works out yet, I'm rapidly becoming a Kondo Ryota fan. I like his simple, very slow, and almost exploratory style. He explores complex, dark emotions in an incredibly understated, almost silent way. He doesn't tell you how to feel. He sets the scene and lets you soak in it and draw your own conclusions. This style isn't for everyone. My mother is a fan of slashers and would likely be bored out of her brains 5 minutes into something like this. She wants action, but that's not the focus of Kondo's horror. His horror is quiet, slow, escalating the dread until he finally reveals what's really going on. And that's what I love so much about it. I will be watching his future career with much interest. But what did you guys think of this one? Let me know in the comments below, and if you'd like to help support this channel so you can see more content like this, please consider hitting that join button down below as well. Every bit of support really helps. Thanks guys, and I'll see you again next time.